Welcome to The Range with your host, Brandon Brown, behind the scenes. And here is your panel, the one and only Flip Klupsch, the Honorable Chris Gallen, Cleveland Spears, and new to the panel for this week, we have the one and only Justin J.B. Brown.
Get it.
And the first topic for this week is college football. And as we all know, the top 6 teams in the BCS standings, starting off with number 6, Boise State. Number 5, Cincinnati. Number 4, TCU. Number 3, Texas. Number 2, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
And the number 1 team in the nation, retaking their spot after 1 week, 2 weeks ago. Who cares? The Florida Gators. So the question for these BCS standings: did Cincinnati get snubbed with TCU jumping them into BCS? Doug, start it off.
Yes, guys, absolutely they did get snubbed. All right, they have 2 quality victors. They didn't beat Miami, Florida. They beat Miami of Ohio, so that's not quality. They did beat number 21, South Florida, and they did beat Oregon State. And they still have to play Pitt and West Virginia, and that'll be 4 quality opponents, assuming they do beat them all and run the table. They have a nice margin of victory. I believe it's about 23 points within the conference. Now, I understand there are some bad teams in the conference, but it is a BCS conference, unlike the Mountain West. But TCU does have a terrific defense, and they're trying to do it all in style, but I still think Cincinnati is a better team.
Cleveland.
Well, I don't think so. At this point in the game, you're not number 1, you're not number 2. It's all about the style points to make the top 5. And when you beat a team down 55-12, as in TCU did to San Diego State, it's just that's style points for you. And when you can only beat UConn like Cincy did, 47-45, you kind of can't help that. Now Pike does return to the team this week, but I still think that matters. TCU is giving a really good shot, and they may play in a weaker conference, but of course they deserve to be leapfrog over Cincinnati.
Chris.
I do agree. I believe TCU should jump Cincinnati. They have to me, the style points pretty much means everything now. If you're not in the top, besides the top 3, which is pretty much already expected, style points mean everything. So TCU is just pretty much the team on the outside looking in, hoping that 2 teams falter, because, well, really doesn't matter which 2, as long as 2 teams falter. So I really believe that TCU should jump them, and they do have another quality opponent in Utah. So, Cincy, I don't really see too many other. Well, they have one other good game, but style points matters.
JB.
TCU by far has a better defense. They lead the nation in defense the last 5 out of the 7 years. So that can be one of the things that puts them above Cincinnati. Another thing would be Cincinnati. They've struggled down the stretch. They struggled just to be just the UConn team. I understand UConn is going through a lot, dealing with the loss of Jasper Howard, but that's a game that you have to absolutely obliterate a team just like that. They struggled to beat a team that struggled against Rutgers, as in UConn. They blew out Rutgers. So TCU does deserve to be ahead of Cincinnati. Boise State can probably Boise State probably deserves to be above Cincinnati, but they're not. But let's see how it is. That's the way it is.
One other question involving college football. Just your thoughts on Boise State struggling to beat Louisiana Tech. JB.
It's just another phase of Boise State trying to live up to the hype or whatever. We all know they had a little feel-good story when they beat Oklahoma, and I was happy about that. But Boise State, they're in a little bit over their heads. They don't have as much talent as they did a few years back. And if they were to play a quality team like Alabama, Florida, or possibly Texas, and then Texas would probably do all 3 of those teams would probably do what Georgia did to Hawaii, unfortunately, in the Sugar Bowl, and that is expose them and give them a reason, and the BCS, not to put them in those type of bowl games.
Cleveland, did it hurt Boise with Oregon losing to Stanford?
No, I think it kind of helped them, actually. Boise State could. struggling against Louisiana Tech, I mean, that's terrible enough. But to have, Oregon losing to Stanford kind of automatically puts you up there in the top 6. No offense to Oregon, but no offense to Stanford, who, I mean, great running game on, this past week. It's just been amazing to watch, Boise State win. But to watch Oregon lose that game was kind of tough, but it helps out Boise State a lot.
Doug, your thoughts on Georgia Tech?
I think they've been a nice surprise this year. Best team in the ACC by far. That running game they have is pretty terrific. But we'll see what happens come down the stretch. They should have I wouldn't say really easy matchup in the ACC title game, but, they should take care of business.
Chris, who will rise out of the Pac-10 to go to the Rose Bowl?
Pac-10, I really believe that even though Oregon did stumble, they do hold, they control their own destiny. So I really feel that Oregon should win out. They should win out, have no problems with anybody else. That's pretty straightforward.
And now we have the coach's rant with the one and only Cleveland Spears.
All right. Everybody hates Tom Brady. I mean, I hate him as a Colts fan. All Colts fans hate him. Miami hates him. Of course, Joey Porter hates him. So what really I thought was a lot of BS this past week, at least this past week or so, is Jerry Porter talking noise and Tom Brady saying that motivates you. How in the world can you be motivated by a different player? A player that plays on a weaker team than you on. You have a guy named Randy Moss playing wide receiver for you. You got a guy named Wes Welker for you. Hey, look, you even picked up Fred Taylor to try to bolster up a running offense. But you know what? You still have to get motivated by a guy named Joey Porter from the Miami Dolphins? Seriously? This is ridiculous. I mean, you're talking all this trash, and you're coming back, you're finally in midseason form. But don't pull this BS on me saying you need motivation from other players. You should be talking trash to get other teams motivated. Maybe you have tougher games to play. Just saying.
And that was the coach's rant. Up next, we will have NFL talk here on The Range.